Okay, fifth grade, it's time for you guys to leave Cyprus. A few things that I want to say to you on my way out. First, I love you guys. I looked up the definition of the word love just to make sure it fits what I'm thinking about, and I also looked up synonyms and affection. Listen to this: a feeling of liking and caring for someone. There it is. That's how I feel about you guys. I like you. I care about you. And, you know, some of you guys I know better than others. Some of us, we haven't really talked that much. But I've talked a lot, and you've listened, or at least done a great job of pretending to listen. And that's fine too. But I know that you guys have been listening to me, and I really, truly appreciate that. And I mean everything I say. It's all from the heart. The thing that I want to tell you guys as you leave is that you've really taught me a lot. I listen to you too. I watch you, I listen to you, and I think about the things you say. I've never stopped learning. Never stop learning from you guys. I don't want you guys to stop learning. Be lifelong learners. Stay in touch, okay? You don't all have to. You're not all going to. Most of you probably aren't, and that's fine. Not a problem. I want to tell you two stories. The first is of a phone call that I got about 5 or 6 years ago, okay? The phone call, I picked up the phone. The person said, "Coach, this is Jimmy. Do you remember me?" Well, as soon as he said that, I knew who he was. He was Jimmy Revelou. In the 1980s, I taught at a school called Mary Help of Christians in Tampa. It was a school for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade boys that have had problems in their lives. Either their parents were in prison, or maybe their parents were on drugs, or maybe they'd gotten kicked out of a previous school. But every one of the boys there was some issue with them, and that's why they were there. Now, Jimmy Revelou, he was from Haiti, the country of Haiti, and he was extremely poor, like so poor that you guys can't even imagine how poor he was. Like maybe two sets of clothing, one pair of shoes, nothing. Jimmy didn't have anything, but he loved soccer and he was really good at it. So anyway, I was in my garage, cleaning out my garage one day, and I ran across an old pair of softball cleats. And I was going to throw them away, but for some reason it just kind of hit me that maybe Jimmy would like these cleats. Because, Jimmy didn't have cleats. He played soccer all the time, but he didn't have cleats. And for whatever reason, I just kind of followed through on it. I brought those cleats to school, and I gave them to Jimmy. And I swear, when I gave them to him, I could just see in his eyes how much it meant to him. And he put those cleats on, and he kept them on. He kept them on for about 2 weeks straight, everywhere in the school. He went to class in them. He went to lunch in them. He just wore those cleats because he loved them, and he appreciated that little gift. That taught me so much. How far a little gesture can go. So anyway, that was in the 1980s. So here, fast forward to 5 years ago, and now this guy Jimmy is calling me. And now he's 38 years old, I think, at the time he's calling me. He's a real estate agent on the other side of the state of Florida. Does very well for himself. You would never have predicted this when he was in school, but looking back on it, you could see that he did have something special about him. He just didn't have the advantages of having money and opportunity. But he explained to me that he was a real estate agent. He'd done well. He just had won all these prizes, but that his time at PE, at Mary Help of Christians, was so critical to his formation as a person. And he had often thought about, but had never done anything about, picking up the phone and saying thank you. Well, let me tell you guys something. That phone call just carried me for a year more. It carries me to this day, because what that tells me is that for every Jimmy, there's 1,000 kids that feel the same way, but just don't end up picking up that phone. I know many of you guys will be the same way, but some of you will end up picking up that phone. I got another call, or writing that email or something, whatever, sending a text, whatever the case may be. Doesn't always have to be a phone call. I got another call from a guy named Billy Scotch. Billy Scotch was a kid that I also taught at Mary Help of Christians. He called me out of the blue. He's about 30 years old, just out of the blue. I hadn't talked to him or seen him for over 20 years. And he said, listen, I've got 2 kids, and in raising these kids, the things that you talk to us about, they keep coming back to me over and over again, and I just felt I needed to reach out and say something to you. So anyway, those are long stories. I apologize for that, but what I'm getting to is our connection together as teacher and student is not over. The way I look at it, it's just beginning. The things that I have talked with you about are things that I believe in, the things I really, really believe in, and that I think are going to be good for you. And I hope you'll find them to be that way. The relationship we have was not a business relationship. It was, in one sense, I was your teacher, you were my student. That part of it is what it is. But it's personal. It's personal to me. If you think I don't know you, if you think I don't know your name, remember that I have to give grades to every one of you kids. I know all of you guys. I know something about all of you guys. I've formed an opinion about all of you. So there is a connection, even though you might not think there is. There definitely is. And if you've been listening to me, which I know you have, that means something to me. That I care about that, and I want you to know how much I appreciate that, and I wanted to thank you for that. So I'm not going to be able to say everything to you that I want to say in this short little 10-minute talk video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do several of these, okay? But I've made some notes of things that I wanted to talk with you about. So I'm going to refer to my notes here. First of all, let's talk about the music, okay? I want to thank you for taking on this musical way of doing things. I know it's not exactly the most favorite thing for everybody. It may not be the way that everybody would have chosen to do it, but you all have done it, and you've all done it with good effort and good, enthusiasm and all of that. And it really means something to me. You could have easily seen it going a different way. Think about it. If I had rolled out the music and I'd said, okay, this is what we're going to do, blah, 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 I mean, you would have done it because you didn't want to get a bad grade or whatever, but you wouldn't have done it with the same enthusiasm that you guys did the music with. And you did. You know that we had some magic moments under that shelter where it just felt just right. And you can't really explain those magic moments, but they were there, right? That's real. And we had those times together, and music was a big part of it. Now, as it so happens, and I've told you guys a lot that, not everybody does this, right? You've heard me say that. Well, being out during this time, away from school, one of the things, if you've been following my posts online, one of the things I've started to do is interview people from all over the world. And I've sent them clips of you guys performing and Focus on Achievement Night and asked them to respond. And if you've watched those interviews, you're going to see over and over again, the same sort of response. And it's, quite honestly, it's people struggling for words to really explain it because it's a feeling, right? It's a feeling that we got together. It's hard to put words on it, but it's real. And then I really encourage you to go and watch the interview with Dr. Lynn Kenny that I've had, and we're going to do a lot of work together. Dr. Kenny is a recognized leading authority in the world, actually, on this idea of music and kids and what music means. And she is just 100% in love with us. Dr. Kenny has written 4 books. The most recent book is called Musical Thinking, and we are living the stuff she talks about in her books. So watch that interview with Dr. Kenny. Dr. Kenny has a following, a worldwide following of people. She, in her Twitter account, I think she's got like 32,000 followers or something like that. And most of those followers are teachers and educators and people, scientists, and people like that. And she took our interview, the interview I had with her, and she put it on her Twitter account. So that means it went worldwide. It went all over the place. And I've begun to hear from people from like far and wide, and they've seen the clips, and they've all come back and said the same things. Well, guys, it's you guys that made these things happen, okay? I wouldn't have interesting clips to send to people if you guys just were, not trying or just being boring or not, just like you couldn't be, I don't know, I'm trying to find a way to say this, but if your attitude was poor, okay, that would come across on the clips. All right. And then it wouldn't excite people the way that it actually does. So there's nothing like being there live when we perform with music, but it does come across on the clips pretty darn good. And so I want to thank you for that, for being, participating in that. It's amazing, guys. It's amazing. I mean, it is so, so cool. So we have done something very special together, okay? And as you walk out the door of Cypress Woods, realize that you're leaving behind a legacy of greatness, amazing greatness that will never die. You'll always be a part of it. And I want you to stay in touch with us, okay? Now, I'm going to sign off on this talk, but then I'm going to start up a couple of other ones. So I hope you're able to watch them all. I love you guys. I'm proud of you. Thank you for listening to me.